If you're looking to become a better yoga teacher, if you want to up your game and have a bigger impact with your students, there's a number of different things you can think about. But today, let's think about the before, during, and after class experience. Let's start with the before unit. So before means the time leading up to your class. Show up to your classes at least 15 minutes early. Here's the mistake that a lot of teachers make is they get buried in the computer or they get buried in their phone. Much better approach is to position yourself behind the front desk or even in front of the front desk. Make eye contact with students as they come in the door. Use their first name and ask them questions. And I don't mean, hey, how are you doing? Or hey, what's up? I mean, ask them real questions. How are you feeling? How was last class? Is your knee feeling any better? How many classes have you taken here? How's work going? Connect with people on a personal level. Remember that nobody cares how much you know about yoga until they know how much you care. I'll say that again because it's so important to understand. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. The way to show somebody that you care is just to ask them questions and be genuinely interested in who they are as a person and what's going on in their life. From there, you have a basis so that you can actually create a transformational experience during class. Okay, let's jump over and talk about the during unit once class starts. So the next unit of class we can talk about is the during unit, when class starts. When class starts, most of you, your classes take on a life of their own. You have your sequence, you get carried away, you're connected to students, and things really take on a life of their own. The challenge is most yoga teachers rely too heavily on their voice. Yoga teaching is not a presentation. It's not a public speaking exercise. That's not what it is. It's an interactive experience, and good teachers show, tell, and touch. They don't just tell. Most teachers are just telling. They're standing on the pulpit, trying to use their voice to solve all the problems. It doesn't work as well as showing, telling, and touching. Telling, obvious, using your voice as a teaching tool. It's your biggest teaching tool. It should represent 50% of what you're doing. Showing is what a lot of teachers miss out on. That is using your hands to gesture, to combine with words. So if I interlace my hands, I interlace my hands. If I squeeze my shoulder blades together behind my back, I show my students. This is a very powerful way to give your words more meaning and to connect with your students on a deeper level. And then the last bit, which is touch, which is physically connecting with your students. This is where most teachers freak out. When I talk about touch or adjustments, I'm not talking about cranking legs behind heads or sitting on students. I'm talking about in downward facing dog, spreading a student's fingers out. I'm talking about a student who has too much tension in their neck and you rub the back of their neck and say, relax. This is connecting with your students on a kinesthetic level so you can amplify the teaching experience. This is what good teachers do. They show, they tell, and they touch. Telling 50% of the time, showing, gesturing, moving 25% of the time, and here's the hardest one, touching 25% of the time. If you do this, if you show, tell, and touch in that mixture, you'll have such a deep connection with your students, they will really start to progress and grow at a really remarkable rate. Next, let's talk about the after unit. So after class, a lot of yoga teachers make the mistake of bailing. They leave the front of the room, they go to the back room, they bury their head in their phone, or they go hide out in the changing room. This is a big mistake. The simplest thing to do is stand in front of your class, keep your body language open, so don't cross your arms or put your hands in your pocket, keep your body language open, and say something welcoming like, thanks so much for coming to class. And next, let them know if they have questions. If you have any questions, I'm here. And finally, invite them to come to your next class. This is super important. My next class is tomorrow. I have a 10 a.m. and a 7 p.m. I hope that you can join me. That's it, right? So I thank them for coming. I let them know I'm available for questions. And most importantly, I invite them to join me for my next class. If you're trying to build your community, you have to invite people and let them know when your next class is. Oftentimes they don't know. So we've talked about the before unit, asking questions, making yourself available, and making sure that you're there at least 15 minutes before class. Show them that you care so they care what you know. We talked about the during unit, show, tell, and touch. We talked about the after unit, thanking people, being available for questions, and then inviting them to your next class. Hopefully these tips will help you to become a better yoga teacher. If you'd like other tips and resources, visit yogateacherscollege.com. We have a whole library of articles and videos just like this to help you on your journey.